Do you ever sit down to study or to work and within 5 minutes you're already distracted? And then you try to focus again, but your attention keeps wandering every few minutes, and before you know it, 2 hours have gone by and you've done nothing? It's the worst, right? I used to struggle with this too, all the time, and I used to put all of my efforts into improving my brain. But then, in my research, I learned something surprising. Our ability to focus our mind is deeply connected to how we use our eyes. Our vision and our attention are tightly interconnected, and once I started focusing on training my eyes instead of my brain, everything changed. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 visual techniques that have drastically improved my concentration. The first one is used by professional snipers and elite athletes to get the highest performance from their attention. The second one clears the noise and resets your focus in just under 1 minute. And the last one strengthens your attention span by controlling your visual field. So if you've noticed a sharp decline in your attention span, if you're constantly distracted, suffer from mental fatigue, or if you're finding it more and more difficult to concentrate, this is a video that you don't want to miss. And for those of you who live with a neurological condition like ADHD, I'm here for you too. Because even though these visual techniques are not a treatment, they have shown effectiveness helping people with ADHD train their focus and improve their concentration too. Let me show you something interesting. Before Olympic athletes take a shot, before a professional golfer hits the ball, and before a trained sniper pulls the trigger, they all do something strange. They stop moving their eyes. For a brief moment, they lock their gaze on one point, time slows, and everything else disappears. Sports scientists call this the quiet eye, and researchers have found something surprising. The longer elite performers are able to hold that steady gaze, the better they perform. Because that final step of steady fixation helps the brain synchronize perception and action. In other words, stable eyes create stable attention. And if you think about it, it's not that surprising. We are visual creatures. In fact, almost half of our brain is involved in visual processing. So it makes sense that focusing our eyes allows us to focus our mind. In fact, your ability to concentrate is strongly linked with something called your cone of attention. This is the area where your visual focus is directed. When your cone of attention is wide and constantly shifting, your focus becomes weak. But when it becomes narrow and steady, your brain enters deep concentration. That's why activities such as reading a good book, putting together a puzzle, or drawing often feel deeply absorbing. So here's the good news. You can use this exact same technique that it's used in sports, in martial arts, and in meditation to train your attention. Here's a simple exercise that I want you to try right now. Pick a small object around your room, the tip of a pen, a coin, or that white point that just appeared on the screen. I want you to place that object at the distance at which you want to improve your focus. That could be the distance you use to read a book, to study, or the usual distance between you and the screen when you are at work. Now, I want you to hold your gaze on that object for a few seconds. Don't move your eyes, don't look at me, just listen to my words and keep looking at that one spot. At some point, your attention might drift. That's okay. Just notice when that happens and gently bring your attention back. Okay, this was just a demonstration, so you can stop now. Good job. Now, did you notice something? When your eyes stop jumping around, your mind becomes quieter too. And that's just the beginning, because when you practice sustaining your visual focus and you do it regularly for 1 to 3 minutes at a time, you're actually strengthening the brain circuits responsible for concentration and cognitive control. In other words, this simple exercise is like taking your attention span to the gym. So add this to your daily routine, and the more you practice, the easier it will become for your brain to stay locked onto a single task. But just like with muscles, all that training will be for nothing if you don't properly consider your rest. Your brain spends an enormous amount of energy processing visual information. And in a world where your eyes are constantly being bombarded by screens, notifications, and visual noise, your attention never gets a break. But don't worry, because this next technique is going to help you fix all that. I call it the micro meditation. It's ridiculously simple too, and here's how it works. once or twice during your workday or while you're cramming for exams and you feel that your brain is starting to melt, I want you to close your eyes for a tiny blackout. If you use an eye mask, even better. I actually keep one by my desk just for this. Oh yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, even though I'm Spanish, I'm not gonna ask you to take a siesta. That's a topic for another day. I'm just asking you to turn off the visual inputs for 3 minutes, and during that time, I want you to do absolutely nothing. No music, no podcasts, no stimulation. Just you, your thoughts, and the darkness. And besides relaxing your body, I'm not gonna ask you to focus on your breathing or to visualize a forest. No. Let your thoughts take you wherever they want to go. At first, they will probably stay close to what you were just doing, but after a minute or so, something interesting happens. Your thoughts will start to wander, you'll start to daydream, and that's a sign that you're accessing your brain's default mode network. That's what we're looking for. You see, the default mode network is the system responsible for mental recovery, creative thinking, memory consolidation, and problem solving. So it's pretty important to say the least. There's just one tiny problem. You're barely using it anymore because it only activates when it's not focused on external inputs. That never happens anymore, so no wonder you always feel mentally exhausted. So when you close your eyes and remove that visual input, your brain shifts gears. Your attention system relaxes, your mental fatigue starts to dissipate, and your focus battery starts to recharge. And that's why when you open your eyes again, your focus feels sharper and you'll be able to concentrate back into your task for a much longer time. You can think of it like rebooting your brain's operating system. It's a technique that clears up the cache, and just like that, you're back to your prime and ready to go. And the best part, you can do it anywhere. At your desk, at home, at school, at work, even in the White House. But even if you train your visual focus and give your brain proper resets, there's still one more factor that determines whether you'll be able to concentrate or not. And it's something most people completely ignore: your visual environment. Let's fix that too. Here's a simple truth that most productivity advice doesn't take into account. Your brain cannot ignore what your eyes can see. Every object in your field of vision is a potential distraction. Your phone lighting up on the desk, a notification on your second monitor, or that messy workspace filled with random objects. The more chaotic your visual field is, the more fragmented your attention becomes. Because even if you're trying to focus, your brain is constantly scanning those visual signals. And each one of them pulls a tiny piece of your attention away from the task you're trying to do. It's like trying to read a book while there's 10 people waving their hands in front of you. The outcome is unavoidable. You're gonna lose your focus. And here's the problem. Every time you switch tasks from your work to a message, to your phone, to an email, your brain pays a price. Psychologists call this the attention switching cost, and studies show that it can take several minutes for your brain to fully recover your focus after one of those interruptions. So just think about it. If you get distracted, let's say 6 times every hour, you're basically never allowing your brain to enter deep concentration. I mean, how are you gonna study or get anything done if you live like that? You just can't. But here's the good news. You can fix a huge part of this problem by simply controlling your visual field. Start with the most dangerous distraction of all, your phone. If your phone is visible while you're working or studying, part of your brain is always going to be checking on it, even if it's silent, even if the screen is off. So the easiest way to remove that distraction is simple. Just put it out of sight. Not face down, not in your pocket. Actually remove it from your visual field. Put it in a drawer, leave it in another room, or throw it out the window. Okay, maybe not that. It's a simple action, but you'll be surprised how much easier it is to stay focused when your brain is no longer waiting for that next. Next, let's deal with your workspace. Is your desk clean and minimal, or is it full of objects competing for your attention? Is your room or your office tidy or a complete mess? Because every item you see is another stimulus that your brain has to actively filter and ignore or to process. So before starting a deep work session, take 1 minute to simplify your visual environment. Clear your desk, close those unnecessary tabs, open whatever you're doing in full screen mode, and hide the windows that you don't need. Do whatever it takes to create a narrow visual field that contains only the thing you really want to focus on. Because when your eyes see fewer things, your brain has fewer things to think about, and suddenly concentrating becomes much easier. Let's be real though. The ability to focus is quickly becoming one of the most valuable skills in the world. Because while technology has made information practically infinite, at the same time it has made our attention really scarce. So if you've been struggling to focus lately, here's something important that I want you to remember. Your attention is not just a mental skill, it's also a visual skill. Your brain follows your eyes, and when your eyes are constantly jumping from one stimulus to the next, your attention will do the same. But if you train your eyes to become steady, if you give them moments of darkness and rest, and if you protect your visual field from unnecessary distractions, you can turn things around, and in the process, you can gain a massive competitive advantage.